Hello, everyone. We're going to continue our lectures in Analytics for Business and Economics with Lecture 5. We're going to talk quickly about functions. And functions are really important because they add a lot of capabilities to R. And we're just going to talk about a few of the things that are a little bit different about how to use them, say that maybe you're used to using them, say in like maybe Microsoft Excel. But I think you'll find they're pretty interesting. So we're back here with our lecture notes on the left-hand side and RStudio on the right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down. We're going to stay working in the console. So I've just taken my source window right here and made it small so that the console takes up the whole bit, so we have a little more room to work. And we're going to play around with some functions. So first function we're going to work with is a function called square root. So square root, SQRT, all that does is, well, take the square root of a number. So let's take the square root of 4. Put that in there. I give it the argument of 4, and bing, I get square root. So let's do that again, SQRT. I'm going to open the parentheses, then I'm going to hit the tab button. Now, it doesn't always work, but oftentimes, when you hit that tab button, it will give you a list of possible arguments. Now, the square root function is pretty simple, and so it only accepts one argument. And traditionally, when a function only has one argument, we call that argument x. You don't have to, but in this case it does. And so this is something that's really important that R does that's really nice. They're called named arguments. So I can tell square root function to use the x argument, and I can give it that value by saying x equals. Now you want to use this equals sign in here, otherwise you get some weird results. All right, so the only time we use the assignment operator, that the arrow, which would look like this, is when we want the result to end up over here in our global environment. But here we don't. We just want it to go to the square root function and then have the square root function return, well, the square root of 4, and again we get 4. And so there's some other examples we can use, like for example, the absolute value function, ABS. And we all know absolute value just makes everything positive. So if I put in -5, the absolute value of -5 is, well, 5. And so, bing, we get 5. Awesome sauce. There's the natural log. And R uses, well, more the math version of shorthand for logs as opposed to, say, the engineering or even what you see in Excel. So in Excel, the natural log might be ln. There is no ln function in R. It's just the log function. All right, and I open this up, and you'll notice it gives me a little help window there. It gives me x. That's my number that I want to take the log of. So let's say we take the log of 10. All right, I'm going to hit the tab button, and it gives me a choice between my two um, um, arguments here. So let's do 10, and then comma, I'm going to hit base, and the base can be anything. So for the natural log, it's base E, right? Which is about 2.71, and I believe that's what the default is. So let's just get rid of that for right now. We'll run this. Bing, that gives me a log of 10, the natural log of 10. If I wanted to do, say, the common log, which would be base 10, bing, gives me 1, which is also the common log. Now, let's say I don't quite know all of that. What I want to do is I want to get a little help on the log function. I'm going to hit the question mark, and I'm going to do log, and let's hit enter, and it's going to give me a help file over here. And what we have is log computes logarithms, by default, the natural logarithm. All right, and so it's natural log, the base is base exp1, which gives me e. Right, if I put in here exp, that's the exponentiate function. It undoes the natural log. If I put a 1 in there, I get 2.718282, which is Euler's constant. That's why it's called E. I know Euler, but Euler is spelt with an E. It looks like Euler, but it's not. In any event, there you go. We use the natural log a lot in business and economics because it takes sometimes essentially takes things that have exponential growth and allows us to plot them on a linear graph. So in any event, there we are. Okay, and we've even used the exponentiate function. So cool. Let's keep going. RStudio can do a lot of really cool things for us. It can do things like auto completion. So for example, if I start SQR, boom, it gives me square root. All right, I hit that. I can hit tab and it tells me, well, it only has the one argument and X, and it even gives me a little help window that you can see there, that little orange yellow thing that gives me some brief notes about the function, right? And boom. The next thing is function arguments. And so you can name the arguments. It will give you little bits of information about each one of those arguments. So for example, let's say I'm going to do print, the print function. Notice it gave me a number of different print functions that began PRIN. I wanted print. Now I'm going to hit tab. And then let's put in 4. We'll put in, actually, hello world. Print is actually probably a bad example, but there's only the one argument that it's pulling up for that one. And it prints hello world. All right, we can also get at those help files by using the question mark and putting it over there. We can also access help files by clicking on the help tab and searching here. So if I put LM, it's going to search up linear model. All right, it's for fitting linear models. Hey, that's ordinarily squares. And it gives us a lot of stuff, like for example, here are all of the arguments. It also gives you things like, for example, method equal QR. That means the default for this argument is QR. So if I don't include method, it's going to put in the string QR for that for me. Model equal true, that it defaults to true. X and Y also, they default to false, so on and so forth. Okay. The help will also give you a description of what's going on with each variable. And then it'll give you a little more discussion, and it usually also gives you some examples of how you can